You are listening to the Critical Mass Radio Show, Orange County's business talk show, focused on exploring topics of interest to CEOs who are leading middle market companies. With your host, Richard Franzi.
Hello and welcome to Orange County's longest running business talk show. And yes, I am your host, Rick Franzi. And boy, do we have a good show planned for you today. Why do you ask? Because as you can see, Mike Myers, who is the CEO for Southern Pacific at McCarthy Building Companies Incorporated, is my guest. Mike, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me, Rick. Excited to be here today.
I'm excited to have a CEO of the Southern Pacific at McCarthy Building Companies here because earlier this year, you ascended into that role. And I'm just wondering, from your perspective, having had various other positions, is there a difference in the role of CEO over your previous experience?
Let's hope so. That's the plan. That's the intention. So I was, it's a new role. We created it new back in April this year. We didn't have a CEO of the region. And really what kind of the driver was, we've had significant growth the last 5 or 6 years, almost probably 250% growth. So we've almost tripled the size of the business. And what was happening is to continue to provide really the level of service we want to bring to our clients, and really just having someone focus more longer term on strategy, supporting scaling. We need to put some infrastructure in place. So we put I elevated the CEO, we put a president and a COO underneath me.
Wow.
So they're able to kind of run the day-to-day of the business, and it freed me up to really think about our business longer term, next 3 to 5 years, develop more strategy. And, we're a national company, so pretty active with our board of directors nationally, and lets me kind of operate in other parts of our business throughout the U.S., other markets, and help kind of shape the overall direction of the company. So it frees me up to spend time on that.
So I'd have to believe, you tell me, that this region is an important part of McCarthy Building Companies. Southern California has got to be an important market.
Yeah, it is. It's always been, if not our largest, one of the largest today. In the last few years, it's been our largest market in the U.S. So critical, the size of projects, the type of projects, the number of partners we have that are based here in Southern California. It's one of the horses for our McCarthy nationwide. So a lot of opportunity here, a lot of responsibility we have as a region to perform. But yeah, it's really critical to our success.
Hence the visibility you get with the board and the rest of the executives, right? Because they need to make sure you're doing your job and things are growing there. And that's amazing growth, 250% over the past 3 years. I'm going to ask you to tell me more about the company. But before we do that, can you help us to understand what are the drivers behind your recent success, continued success, but this significant growth?
That's a great question. I think good timing. McCarthy's a 160-year-old company, so we've been around for a very long time. We're an employee-owned company, 100% ESOP, and so we have that. It's a great model. You're familiar with that, I assume. So
yes,
we're able to leverage that. And I think what happened maybe when I came out to California from St. Louis about 6 years ago, we realized we had growth opportunity in these markets. We were relevant, we weren't significant. And so we decided to really significantly grow our market share. So we opened an office in LA. We used to service LA from Newport Beach. We levered up our investment in San Diego. We've always been significant in Orange County. So we decided to really invest in the growth, kind of grow in the size of our business, take on larger projects. So that way, at this point in time, we're able to participate and compete with really any size project in a variety of markets. So it was market diversification, and then obviously capitalizing on just the overall size of the construction market in Southern California. We made a strategy to do that, invested in the business, and it's paid off. Had good growth ever since.
Well, good for you to be in the right place at the right time, ladies and gentlemen. That's it's important to be competent in business. It's also a little bit good to be in the right place at the right time, isn't it?
Timing helps.
Yeah, timing. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you for reading my mind. Okay, so I'm sure those of us who are in Southern California who are driving around have seen your name in different places. But tell us, from your perspective as the CEO, what is it that McCarthy Building Companies does?
Yeah, we like to say two things really. One is, we're community builders, and so we prefer to build buildings in the communities we work and live. And so that's why we have offices throughout Southern California. Geographically, we don't just service it all from one location. We want our partners to live and work and work on things that their communities need. Mm-hmm. And that's the key word. We prefer to build things that the communities need, such as infrastructure. We do a lot of water, wastewater, renewable energy projects. We build healthcare facilities. We build schools, both K through 12 and higher education schools, facilities, labs, parking structure. So we're pretty diverse, and we're diverse in markets for the most part, things that people need. We build some things that people want too. We that's always nice as well, but our core markets and the way we like to think about our business is on the need side and building the community. So really diverse intentionally. And that's kind of part of our market strategy to, be able to ebb and flow based upon where the economy is. And it's allowed us to kind of ride the waves fairly smooth the last really 10 to 20 years.
Do you do infrastructure projects?
Yeah, we do. I mean, we're more based on water, wastewater infrastructure projects, utility type projects. Okay. We don't do much road and heavy civil in California. We do in other parts of the country, however.
Well, I'm just wondering, the Infrastructure Act that was passed by the federal government, there's money that needs to be modernizing a lot of aspects of the U.S. infrastructure. Is that an opportunity for McCarthy?
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, we do that. Money for that obviously goes to energy. So we do a lot of renewable energy, a lot of battery storage work, and a lot of water and wastewater projects. All that the IRA is all focused on those sectors, as well as bridges and roads and other type of infrastructure. But so yeah, that finds its way towards the work that we already participate in pretty significantly. Aviation as well, where we do aviation projects also.
Do you do public works projects, like maybe a stadium or a small concert hall or anything like that that's being constructed?
Yeah, we do. Right. We also, within this region, we cover Las Vegas as well. So we built the Allegiant Stadium in Vegas where the Raiders play. We're building the A Stadium with our joint venture partner Mortensen in Las Vegas. So we do some sports facilities. We do a lot of public work. I mean, LA County, Orange County, those are some of our larger clients. Not necessarily stadiums or arenas, but office buildings, parking structure, facilities that they need to administer the city. We definitely build a lot of public facilities.
Will the 2028 Olympics create any opportunity for McCarthy?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's funny. A lot of the core infrastructure that you need to support Olympics is here. It's already been established in LA. Right. Kind of how the Olympic committees are trying to pick cities that have been built out, so you don't have to spend billions of dollars to get ready and then not have that in place. So a lot of the core venues for LA are already been built and already available, but a lot of the support's not. So there's a lot of aviation work at LAX that needs to be prepared to support the influx of visitors, and a lot of parking structures. There's a lot of parking being proposed because obviously it's got a massive influx of parking. So we're targeting a lot of parking projects, believe it or not, that be built upon all around LA County.
I wonder if they're planning housing projects too for either the athletes or the people. I just want,
there are hotel projects being built to prepare for some of the influx. Okay. I'm not participating in much of that, and we don't do housing, but I'm certain they are.
Okay. Well, this is a ranging conversation already. I told you, ladies and gentlemen, it was going to be a fun and informative interview. But before I leave McCarthy, I'd like to have you just share from your perspective what it means to be an ESOP, an employee-owned company.
Yeah. I'd say, it sounds maybe corny because of my role within McCarthy, but it's not sincere. It's really special. It's our special sauce as an organization. I mean, we've been an ESOP for 20 years. So the company bought it off the family, the fifth generation McCarthy family, about 20 years ago, and that has really catapulted our success. I think it's a really easy leadership type motto to say, hey, act like an owner. You own the business. You got to behave like an owner. You got to be fiscally responsible. You got to care about your clients. You got to care about developing people. You got to participate in the community, just like you would if you owned a business. And guess what? You all own a business. And ours is very well balanced, Nobody owns more than like 0.25% of the company. So it really does touch every single one of our partners. We're 100% participation in our ESOP. So we're all partners. We're all business partners. And it lets us really hold each other accountable to make good decisions. And as a leader, you feel accountable to, we have 4,000 shareholders, 4,000 employee partners that we have to care about their success, and they have to care about my success as well. So it's a really special model. It really is.
Yeah. So if you're listening to this show live or in the future as a podcast, and you're a business owner and you're considering an exit at some point in the future, I would encourage you to look up ESOP as an option, because I love what it can do culturally, but also financially for the long-term employees who build a very significant nest egg for themselves just by virtues of doing a good job for a good company, Mike.
Yeah, there's a lot of tax benefits. So that's a separate podcast we could probably have on that. Okay. A lot of tax benefits to it as well.
Yeah, there are. And there's a lot of benefits to the employees as well. All right, let's move our focus maybe to a piece of business advice, something that someone has told you, maybe as a young whippersnapper, and that you've carried it along in your career, or maybe it just happened yesterday. I don't know.
Yeah, I've had two careers really. I used to own my own company. I sold it to McCarthy in 2014. So entrepreneur for about 15 years. And so then I worked for a large corporation. So it's interesting. I have two different mentors that give me two different pieces of advice. When I was started my company, or when I worked for a small startup company, the advice I had from the mentor was, and it's kind of old school mentality. I still believe in it though. He said, you don't be the smartest. A lot more colorful words. I'll save that. Yeah. But in a PG version, he basically said, you got to get up before everybody else and start running the race. You have a much better chance to win. And what he really meant by that is just get up earlier, like quite literally, get up earlier, go to work earlier, work harder, work longer. And that hard work and grit, especially when you're building a company from the ground up, it was great advice. And it's right. I mean, you don't have to have perfect timing, have all the financial skills or abilities. If you put in a little extra time, you can make progress and chip away, and oftentimes outrun your competition. So I believe in that. I embodied that and had some success. Fast forward to being part of a much larger, more sophisticated corporation. Our past chairman, a guy named Mike Bowen, who's an Orange County resident, actually, he told me one time, he says this a lot to folks, is when you get an opportunity within a company to do something, whatever it may be move, it may be take on a new role, what have you, that's maybe a little scary, a little concerned about, or you may be worried about how it impacts your family, is try to find a way to yes. And I didn't know what that meant initially. It sounds very simple, but quite frankly, it's just, take some risks, believe in yourself. It's scary. Your family may be impacted by it. There's a lot of things that could happen by saying yes. There's also, you never know when you say no. And I will tell you, I've said yes to a lot of things that I've been here, and it's worked out very well for me to take adventures, moving my family across the country. I've had a lot of partners do the same thing. And every time they get to yes, it really has probably been a scary adventure, but it's worked out for their career professionally, as long as they put the time in. So I just think you always reflect upon that. Sometimes it doesn't work out, but if you can find a way to yes, more often than not, good things happen for you in your career. So
I love both of those pieces of advice, and I think I resonate equally with each one. I was thinking, as you were saying, finding a way to yes, moving from St. Louis to Southern California with a family who I assume your kids were high school, maybe.
Yeah, they're starting high school.
Yeah. That's a big decision to make for you and your spouse and your kids. It must have been a different way of life for them coming from St. Louis to Orange County.
Oh yeah, they got into surfing and all the things, skateboarding almost immediately. So they adapted to California life pretty quickly. So
I'd have to think that's a more attractive option than, hey, we're going from Newport Beach to St. Louis. Nothing wrong with St. Louis.
A little bit more challenging.
Right. Nothing wrong with St. Louis. I have family there. Been there.
I love it. I do too. I love St. Louis.
But Orange County is special. You've been in the construction industry for a few years. I'm wondering, from your perspective, how's it changed over those 20 plus years, Mike?
Yeah, I think a couple things is, it's a lot more sophisticated, and our industry just by the nature of what we do is always kind of trailed sophistication in terms of technologies. And it's craft labor, getting work done, building things in the trenches, mud and concrete and dirt. So there's only so much sophistication that can happen at times. You still have to get the work finished with manual labor, but it's advanced with technology, obviously. But I think maybe the thing that's most different that I've seen is really the way we deliver projects. And so 20 years ago, the industry was a much more, maybe 25, but 20 plus years ago, much more transactional, and where we call it a hard bid, where numbers matter. So you propose on a project. If you're the low number, you win the job, and then you go and hope you have a good outcome. But it is a transactional relationship, and you're just trying to get it finished for the lowest price and hope the client's not angry at you when it's over. And if they are, you go to litigation, and that's what happens. And it was more that way, and it gave contractors kind of a bad rap for, sometimes maybe being shady or shysters and things like that would happen in the industry. Fast forward to today, it's a much more collaborative environment where with trade partners, subcontractors, designers, owners, we're all working together. It's a very complex business to get things entitled, designed, permitted, built, all within a budget that the client has. Is pretty complicated. So we have to work together. And so the way we've delivered projects, the way the contracts have evolved, it really drives and forces collaboration. And the owners of projects really want that. And now they're looking for partners. It's not transactional, it's relational. And they're looking for real partners to work with to kind of navigate a really tough industry to get something completed. So it's really evolved, like in the sophistication of how we work together, and much more collaborative, much more enjoyable environment. And therefore, I think it attracts, different types of young professionals that say, hey, I can get in that space. Maybe before is a little more roughneck, blue collar type, a little more transactional, not as much fun. This is a much more collaborative environment that more people can be attracted to and be successful in. So it's changed for the better. It's evolving as all things evolve with technology. I think that will disrupt our business as well. We may talk about that, I'm sure, but it's in a much better space, and I think it has a ways to go to continue to evolve as an industry. But we've made a lot of progress in 20 years.
I think we're at an interesting point as well, because I think there is a general awareness that's happening within the U.S. that there are very good careers and good paying jobs that don't require a college degree.
Yeah.
And recognizing that some of those save you the 4 years of having to be in school and the cost of going to school. You're already productive and making money, and learning a trade can be a great career and then an entrepreneurial opportunity later in your profession if you're so inclined.
Exactly. Now, our industry of any industries probably provide the most opportunity for that. Just like you said, from learning a trade, a lifelong trade, great paying jobs, especially in a union environment, which we primarily with McCarthy employee union trade partner or craft as well. So we're signatory to the unions. They make a great wage, great life for their families. And you nailed it. They learn a trade. Oftentimes they can pivot that into starting their own company and be entrepreneurial as well. So I like this shift. I hope it continues to shift a bit more that way. College, 4-year schools are not for everybody. And it really went almost the other extreme for a period of time. I do think it's kind of flexing back a little bit, where some of the youth are realizing, hey, a trade route is a good route for me. It could make a great career for myself, and I'm good to go explore it. So It's starting to happen a little bit more.
Yeah, and we need it, because a lot of the trades, if you look at the age distribution, you go, wow, there's a lot of fill in the blank 50-year-olds plus that are welders or whatever, the machinists. And we need to regenerate another group of those. But also now technology is infiltrating a lot of different aspects. I'm wondering about artificial intelligence, Mike. What's your view as the CEO?
Yeah, I think where we're at with it right now is, it's changing daily, right? Moving very quick.
Right.
We're not sitting on the sidelines, and you can do a few things with AI. You can wait and see. You can be like bleeding edge and do things first, or be what we call fast followers. So we're trying to be fast followers. So as things are developed and we see technology being created that we can maybe be opportunistic on and bring into our business, we want to do it quickly and test it and roll it out and then scale within our business. So we're prototyping things, concept kind of proving out opportunities for a lot of different technologies in our business right now before we scale them out. I think it's going to change dramatically in a lot of ways, just from what people will do things. We have a full service business, so we have all sorts of finance functions and legal functions and HR functions within our organization. They're going to be disrupted a bit. But everybody's a little concerned about not having jobs, having their jobs replaced. And the way we're taking the approach is trying to be what we call an AI-enabled contractor. And we're still trying to figure out what that means to ourselves, but we want to be enabled. We want to have our team be AI ready, be enabled to bring these platforms into our business, leverage them in the right way, not replace jobs. Let us all work on different things and do more and use a different part of our brain, but let technology that's been developed that maybe we used to do ourselves, do that work for us, and we'll use our intellect in a different way to impact the business in a different way and hopefully grow and expand and bring on new opportunities for our partners. So we're trying to get that kind of ecosystem developed internally now, so that we're ready as these platforms are developed. We can quickly adopt them and bring them into our business. Then you go to the craft side, the actual construction side. Robots and robotics are really going to make a big play. I know we're testing different robot type instruments on various project sites. So it's happening very quick, and we can't wait and see. We're trying to make sure we're ready for the influx and make sure we capitalize on it so we stay relevant.
That's interesting. I was with you along the business process side, but then to actually think about the delivery of the work product being enhanced by robots or automation, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool, because there are some high risk positions too in construction, which if you can eliminate the risk to a human, that's a good thing for everybody. So I could see how that's great. That's a great answer. I was excited to hear what you had to say about it, and I've gotten a lot of different perspectives on AI since we started asking that question, and it's encouraging to see business leaders trying to figure out how to rationalize the opportunity with the impact, so that everything's a positive. In addition to your day job, I know that you are active on not one, not two, not three, but 4 different nonprofits here in Orange County, and those are big time commitments and emotional commitments too, because you can get connected to the mission. But I'm wondering, from your perspective, what's that experience? How's that experience impacting you as a CEO and a businessman here in Orange County?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think, we all say we like to give back. I think some of us really enjoy. I get probably more out of it than I give, quite frankly. So I think I do it to model it. I think I really want my partners and my team here to get active and get involved in things that they're passionate about. So I have a lot of passion, so I try to help out where I can. I think too, it's a lot of the boards I'm part of have a really diverse group of individuals. So I'm building a broader network. I'm learning a lot from them and how they see the world. We share things at the board meetings, outside the board meetings about their business, completely unrelated. They're not clients of mine. I'm just learning things from them and how they see the market, the economic forecast, how they're handling AI. So I learn a lot from them, and we bring that to how we think maybe these organizations can lever it. So I think you get a different perspective, and also you see what the great work that one's a school board, others are, Children's Hospital Foundation board. So the great work they're doing in the communities, it's inspiring, and it's not necessarily for bottom line. Whereas we run business boards, we're trying to bring great value to our clients and also trying to profit. A lot of these nonprofits are trying to really do something special for the community. So it gives me a different way of thinking about the business, that we can also bring some of those elements back into our business. Not everything we have to do is necessarily bottom line dollar driven. It's giving back. It's doing good things for the community. It's bringing programs in that support different efforts in health and mental health within our system, as well as how they're doing it within these nonprofits I'm part of. So I just learned so much and able to bring so much back to our company, to bring different perspectives to it. then hopefully I give a little as well. So it's a two-way street on these nonprofits for me.
And it's all that, and it's a great way for you as a relatively newcomer to Orange County to really build relationships that are meaningful, that go beyond the business, which is nice to have. I'm sure you had that in St. Louis, so I'm sure that's a part of the benefit. And so thank you for doing that. And representing a large employer here in Southern California, it's important to be on the boards as well to help those leaders. So let's look to the future. Talk about the business. Okay, Mr. CEO, we're going to pretend we're in a board meeting. Mike, what's your 5-year plan? No, what's the future look like for your organization, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, so I think, like we said, we've had a lot of growth. We're still extremely bullish on Southern California. I mean, I think there's all these reports about population decline and things like that. There's still so much opportunity. It's such a great market. There's so much work, and so many people live in Southern California that need things. Like I said, we build things people need. So we don't see the market and where we're at here in the Southern California predominantly as declining. I think for us, we really feel good about the size we've kind of grown to. We kind of want to kind of hover in around. We don't see the stratospheric growth any longer. We kind of want to get to the size, stabilize a bit. And now we're really focused on trying to bring more value to our clients through more services. So not necessarily growing the top line revenue, so to speak, but bring more things to our clients that they can lever expertise that we have, that we can maybe build and develop and do more things for them on their existing projects. So that's how we see kind of us expanding and growing our business base, I guess. I think we're in the right markets. I described those before, so we don't see a big pivots there. Like I said, Orange County specifically, I mean, there's still so much opportunity development and work in the sectors we have. There's so much healthcare, higher ed, K-12 education systems that need to be built out, be refined, be updated, be renovated. And so we're really bullish on that just as an organization. I mentioned a minute ago, I do think that, AI is going to change how we do things and how we have to think about things. And maybe some of the services we offer are more AI enabled. And I think that'll transform our business a bit. We have a few ideas we're cooking. I don't want to share them just yet. We're still in the beta testing phase. But yeah, I mean, I see us we want to remain a really large employer, a really impactful employer, bring great value to our clients and however we can in Orange County. I don't see us withering away or going away anytime soon. I think we're really bullish on this market specifically. So we're excited.
That's good to hear. And, as you were talking, I was thinking some of the biggest projects in Orange County over the past year have been healthcare related, whether it's UCI or Hoag or whomever. There's some major investments being put into medical facilities here in Orange County, which is really great for the people, for the residents of Orange County to have these major institutions expanding their capabilities in that way.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay, so if someone would like to learn more about your firm or maybe even reach out to you on LinkedIn, Mike, how do they do that?
Well, they can find me on LinkedIn through just Mike Myers and McCarthy Building Company and just connect. I usually accept all the requests, so happy to do that. And then, I think a good way to learn about McCarthy is in general. We have a great website, just McCarthy.com, and that is you can navigate your way to hook up with me or any of our leadership team here in Southern California through their website as well. So those are the great ways to get it from a basic you can navigate to Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and all that through the website links as well.
So I see that Keaton Taylor said you're a rock star, my friend. So thank you, Keaton, for being a part of the show today and making a comment. It's always nice to have the listening audience participate. You're always welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to be a part of the show. Well, I know you're super busy, and carving out this amount of time to be our guest is probably a challenge, but I appreciate you making the time, Mike. It's been fun.
No, this has been fun, Rick. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to be on your show. It's great.
And I'd like to thank the audience. Mike's episode will join our catalog of over 1,500 interviews that we've done over the years. And so if you happen to be an Orange County entrepreneur or you lead a nonprofit here in Orange County, and you would like to share your story with our audience, it's really easy. If we're not connected on LinkedIn, reach out to me. I'm Rick, R-I-C, Franzi, F-R-A-N-Z-I. just mention in the connection request that you have interest in being a guest. And between Haley, our producer, and myself, we can go through the process and get you ready to be a featured guest on a future episode. And until the next time we all have a chance to be together, I hope all of your business decisions will move your organizations in a positive direction.